Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You join us on SimSpeed TV at Australia's most famous, most revered motor racing circuit. We love Mount Panorama circuit, and it's time for the Southern Cross ESports Racecraft Summer Elantra Championship. These single-make TCRs have been so exciting everywhere that we've seen them race, and of course, here at Mount Panorama, the dual challenge of the commitment and the precision over the top of the mountain, but then the long straights and the slipstreaming of Mountain Straight and Conrod Straight into that passing zone at the chase. David Haynes here, joined by Brady Baldwin, Jay Kennedy on production, and we're bringing you all of the racing action here tonight at Mount Panorama.
Thanks for the intro, David. Looking forward to this one for a few weeks now after two very exciting races at Okayama and Alton Park. For the first two rounds, we've seen some incredible racing, some tight racing, and now come to a completely different style of racetrack here at Mount Panorama in New South Wales. We see there west of the capital of Sydney. We zoom in to this 23 corner circuit, 6.213 kilometres. I think everyone in Australia, if you're a motor racing fan, will know this place.
There are Lowndes fans, Brock fans all around the country that make sure that they face towards Bathurst when they pray, so that their prayers are heard by their chosen gods. So much history, so much passion around this place, and for damn good reason. What a racetrack. Sure, starts off with a 90-degree corner there at Hell Corner, but it's got a little bit of anti-camber to it. Always challenging to make sure you nail your braking zone into there, nail your power onto Mountain Straight, sharply uphill, so your exit speed's so important. The slipstreaming in racing and also in qualifying so strong, and then you just got to bloody hold on from Griffin's Bend all the way again up the hill. Tight, blind cutting, speed against the walls at Reed Park, Solomon Park towards McPhillamy Park as you then dive over the top of the mountain and you head down through the S's, slowing, bleeding off speed towards the elbow, and then again your exit's got to be pinpoint perfect there for the long run down Conrod Straight, almost hitting the rev limiter in cars like these at the greatest speeds you'll ever see TCR cars get to before they slam on the brakes into the chase. Key overtaking opportunity there, and you can never discount Murray's Corner, or indeed that pit entry that's on the inside there as well. 6.2 fantastic kilometers of motor racing in the real world and in the sim, and perfectly laser scanned, replicated to the millimeter here on iRacing. This is the format for tonight here at Mount Panorama. The Double Dash, 15 minutes of qualifying is underway right now before a 20-minute race and a 40-minute race 2 with a fuel stop required and a reverse top 12. It's going to be 60 minutes of on-track racing action, and we're still only just getting into qualifying now, which, as you can see, very strategic about where you place yourself for the long lap around here for a slipstream to try to qualify up front.
Yeah, 100%, and the pioneer of the whole field is Damon Mulqueen in the Synergy 42 car, so he won't have any assistance of a slipstream on his first lap. The first lap will be the slowest of them, 2:19.4 to start us off. We'll probably see times get better throughout the field. People might get a bit of a toe. James Foster goes 19.9 to go to P2. So we'll see what guys do that get a little bit of a slipstream on their lap, and the tyres will only get a little bit warmer as Lock and Capel now goes to the top end, followed by Yaman and Kuznetsov into the 18s. So times are flying in, and they'll only get quicker throughout this 15-minute session. Remember, these cars are very sensitive on cold tyres, so it's going to take the whole 15 minutes to get the tyres up to temp to nail a perfect lap around here.
That's not a perfect lap right there in the chase for Joey Capone, but like you say, only 15 minutes. You only get a couple of attempts at a flying lap here. They had to do their full out lap, more than 2 minutes of that. It'll be a hard cut to the end of this session as well. So realistically, I think 4 flying laps, you'd count yourself lucky. Looking at the Southpaw racer himself, Reece Gardner, as he has a bit of clean track to start a new lap. See what he's capable of. And also take a look at Jesse McMenamin. We've got 20 drivers with qualifying times right now of 35 or so cars.
Yeah, it's another really good field. I think I counted 36 cars in the field for tonight. A few guys haven't got their first laps in, possibly due to a wall touch over the top. So a few guys will still have to set their first banker lap of the session. I was fortunate enough to do a 6-hour race here earlier in the year with the V8 Scops Support Series, which was in the TCR, and this track is certainly not the easiest to get around, especially on cold tyres, especially over the top. Very treacherous, and got to really take it easy and not fly it in too hard into the corner, otherwise you can find yourself in the wall, just like I did very easily.
Having a look at Dan Yeaman. Got a bit of an itch on the tip of his nose there, but he's smelling a pretty good slipstream down the end of Conrod Straight. Absolutely flat out through the little kink, and then just trying to make sure you line up perfectly for the braking. Pick your marker perfectly and rotate the car through that sharp left. Opens up with the right here. Yeaman, how's this lap going? Purple in the start, a couple of personal bests, but I think he's dropped a lot of time somewhere around this lap, and he's just trying to line himself up here in the track position to start his second flying lap, because that has not been an improvement, and by almost more than a whole second there, he's abandoned that lap, tried to set himself up in a place that'll get him a good flying lap this time around.
The big surprise for me, no bias here at all, but David Mulqueen's 3.5 tenths ahead of the field with no slipstream whatsoever. So very impressive lap from the 42 car. As I say that, bit of a curse on Damon. John Merritt goes to the top with a 18.51, so only 600s quicker than Mulqueen. So John Merritt putting down a really good lap. Looks like he had a bit of a assistance from the slipstream on that lap, so he will go to the top of number 64 as Dale Atkins on screen will finish his next flying lap. This is actually his first time once at 22.6. So a lot of improvement still on the table there for Dale Atkins. Reece Gardner looks like in the pits as well.
Cars still going quicker yet in this session. It's a relatively cool morning at Mount Panorama, so 20 in the air, 21 on the track. Might heat up as we go here, might even be heating up throughout this session as well. So where the sweet spot of the lap times is might be about this flying lap or the next potentially. You never say never though, as far as just stringing together all of the sectors, all of the 23 corners to put together a good lap, and then also good slipstream will get you plenty of time in the final sector as well. Seeing a couple of other drivers cross the start-finish line here, like Simon Mazzomo, who puts in a 2:19.665. Thomas Jones has no time yet and is one of just about 6 drivers on track who don't have a lap time to their name yet in qualifying. A 2:20.6 will move him up though, but having a look at John Merritt, he's playing some of the games here, potentially. This doesn't look like it's optimal for a qualifying lap. He had a purple through some of the sectors over the top of the hill, but there's no way that that was quick through Forest Elbow.
No, certainly not. I think there's going to be a bit of a scrap lap for John Merritt. He's certainly not going to improve on his 18.5, because Kuznetsov's at the final corner. A lot of other guys, Borg goes to P3, Lock and Gable to the top, the 18.4, and then Daniel Yeaman surpasses him. Ewan Baker surpasses him and Kuznetsov. So as we see that, John Merritt has gone from P1 to P5 very, very quickly as we go the Racecraft replay. Unfortunately, getting held up a little bit there at the elbow for John Merritt, so he'll set up once again. Still 5 minutes remaining in the session, so got time for 2 more laps on the board, so Merritt will be hoping to put in another flyer before the end of the session.
It's always tough with this many cars out in a qualifying session like this to find a little bit of clean air. If you're on a lap that's going to improve you and it's a valid lap, you're not really under any obligation to get out of the way of someone quicker. It's if you're on a out lap, cool down lap, slow lap, invalidated lap that you should probably not be parking it on the racing line through the S's. But if you're on, a lap and someone's catching you because they're quicker and they get in that position, you don't really got to get out of the way of them. Here's Damon Mulqueen. Spent a bit of time in this qualifying session at the top of the board. He's gone to 6th at the moment. This lap, it's trending for an improvement, and the reality is he doesn't need to find a whole lot of time to find another position or two. So certainly still grip for him in the Hyundai Elantra of Damon Mulqueen.
And the tyres will still be coming up to temp as well, David, so this will certainly be an improvement for all drivers. Definitely for Damon. Still doesn't have a slipstream, but with his tyres heating up, certainly would like to see an improvement from the 42, and he'll have one more when he crosses the finish line to try and set a fast enough lap to go pole position here at Mount Panorama, going through the chase and coming to Murray's corner. The beautifully presented 42 will come to finish his 4th lap and start his 5th and final lap. Will it be an improvement? Runs a little bit wide in the last corner. It's a 2:18.4. That will put him up to position number 4. We'll have to see what everyone else can do, see if they can improve as well.
Yeah, again, just a little improvement gets him just a couple of positions. There's lots of other cars out there running rapidly at the moment. Ray Oliver's inside of the top 10, about to see out his lap. Certainly plenty of cars on this part of the racetrack. Could be Lachlan Capel pretty close behind him because Netsov's at the top. Ewan Baker to 2nd, Daniel Yeaman going to 3rd. Here's Kyle Ridley in 8th at the moment. Not seeing any lightning sectors on this lap so far from Ridley. And he's running a special livery this round.
John Merritt to P2.
A tribute to his mum who passed away. Yep. This is sort of make or break laps in this qualifying session right now, isn't it? Like you've pointed out, pole at the moment at 2:18. There is 2:18 on the clock. Now everyone crossing the start-finish line. Too late to do another lap. Everyone who's on a flying lap right now, this will be your last.
Yeah, there's no room for error whatsoever, especially how committed you got to be throughout this lap. Mazzomo, he's on what will be his last flying lap. He won't be able to get another one by the end of the session. Down in 16th, probably not where he wants to be. We've seen him have some fantastic speed throughout this series so far. A little bit of bad luck at Alton Park, but he's certainly one of the ones to watch in the Racecraft 95 SimSport number 2 machine. Will it be an improvement? He's got a 19.6 on the board coming to Murray's corner for the final time for his qualifying session. Is it an improvement? It's a 19.5, so that will jump him up 1 spot into 15th.
He got bumped down to 17th and then came up 2 to 15th there, but only a small improvement on his final lap. Craig Davidson, 28th at the moment. A lot of personal best sectors throughout this lap. Definitely looking for an improvement and finding almost a whole second there. And staying in 26th. No? Sure? Maybe? Okay. Gained a couple spots. Damon Mulqueen, 5th. His final qualifying effort here. Needing to improve on a 2:18.4. He finds a 2:18.3. Doesn't move in the order. James Foster, 9th. A couple of personal best sectors here as well. Any improvement for him? Just a little bit. But I think Rick Kuznetsov, Daniel Yeaman, those are the 2 drivers with the most pace at the moment. Kuznetsov only just getting to the tail end of the traffic here. And he improves. Nor does he just miss out. He does improve. He does improve a couple of tenths there as well, making it a very difficult job for anyone like Daniel Yeaman or John Merritt to be able to take it away from him. Clint Collard's going to complete qualifying by crossing the line right here. Jonathan Akers will be one of the last drivers over the line. I think Yeaman's already over the line. John Merritt, you can see him in front, has just crossed over the line to jump up into second place. Still more than a tenth away from that great time by Rick Kuznetsov.
Yeah, final dying stages, 10 seconds remaining. Joe Capone will probably just miss out in the 111 machine to set his final lap, and there it goes the ticker, and Rick Kuznetsov, a fantastic lap for pole position, a 17.7, almighty impressive lap out of the number 1 machine as we head into our first race of the evening, 20 minutes, so we're probably thinking about 9 or so laps around this famous circuit. On the front row will be Rick Kuznetsov and John Merritt sharing the front row. Daniel Yeaman and Ewan Baker will share row number 2. Row number 3 will be Damon Mulqueen and Lachlan Capel, race winner at Alton Park. Brian Borg and Clint Collard will share row number 4. Row 5 and ready at the top 10 will be James Foster and Kyle Ridley. Shane Clancy and Reese Gardner will share row number 6. Row 7 will be Ray Oliver and Aaron Major. Row 8 will be Cameron Edwards and Jack Swampool. Row 9 will be Simon Mizomo and Tom Wilson. Rounding out the top 20 will be Jonathan Akers and Mike Pepper.
There's 13 other cars with qualifying times. It's Paul Brockbank and Barry Punter. And then Ricky Satria and Matthew Keane. Thomas Jones and Craig Davidson, 25th, 26th. Peter Pavlovich and Jesse McMenamin here, 27th and 28th. 29th and 30th, Dale Atkins and Joe Capone. And then the last drivers with qualifying times, Greg Levine and John Lee. Attempting qualifying but not setting one was Tom Yaklojevich. Scott Rankin is one of the safety car drivers. There's the other safety car. And no qualifying time there for Naval Sechuan or Michael Locke. So yeah, 2 races coming up, but this first one, just the 20-minute sprint, we get that top 12 invert into the 40-minute race. And as you can see, time ticks by, and we expect that track temperature still could come up a little bit as we go, but they will be starting this race in about a minute's time on cold tyres once again.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting first lap, especially over the top of the mountain now that you're surrounded by a lot of cars and racing for position and on cold tyres. It's a little bit of a recipe for disaster, so let's hope all these drivers can keep it clean and green throughout this 20-minute session. Unfortunately, had a few safety cars impact the race at Alton Park a few weeks ago, so Rick Kuznetsov will look to lead from the front. We're only about 25 seconds away from going green. David, I'll let you make the call for the start.
John Merritt's just taken his grid spot in second. You've got most of the front of the field, but once again, a massive field for Southern Cross ESports here, and the tail of the field wraps almost around, well, does wrap around the final corner and where the Motor Racing Museum is out there as well. Great field, ready to roar into life at Mount Panorama. The headlight flashes work back in the field there as well. This is where your last car on the grid is, almost by pit entry. But we're ready to go racing. Kuznetsov on pole, John Merritt in second place, cold tyres, short run towards turn 1 and then up mountain straight. For the first of 2 races in Racecraft ESports Hyundai Elantra Summer Cup, we are go at Mount Panorama. A little bit of bog down happening behind Reese Gardner there in that part of the pack, but already you see Kuznetsov defending. Great launch there from Daniel Yeaman as he gets around John Merritt and into second place, critically getting a great run off turn 1 up the mountain as well. The whole field full throttle, turbochargers going, racing up the mountain towards Griffin's Bend, and the conga line defending the inside line of Griffin's Bend. That's where you want to be with the camber in turn number 2. Daniel Yeaman tries to pull out of the slipstream, but of course finds no grip around the outside of this corner here, and Kuznetsov, in spite of that powerful slipstream, will still lead them up towards the cutting.
Yeah, it was going to be a very difficult move to get done around the outside on lap 1 at Griffin's Bend for Daniel Yeaman. Thought better of it, slotted in behind. So far we're cleaning green throughout the field. Some really not... Oh,
thanks, mate. Thank you.
I cursed.
Good work, Brady Baldwin. It was a good start. It was a good start. We got through turn 2 pretty well, but obviously the cutting, it's blind on the way in. It's a big braking zone into a tight hairpin, and we've had a bit further back in the field, a couple of cars come together. Kuznetsov's still leading, but a bit of change inside of the top 10 here as Yeaman has made that move up into second place off of John Merritt. Still got Ewan Baker, Damon Mulqueen, Lachlan Capel right in this leading battle. And 20 minutes, you still can be just a little bit patient as Merritt clips the concrete, and then he has another go of it, heading down the hill and through the dipper. Car should probably be uninjured, but you're waiting for the run here, down the straight, and he gets more concrete.
That was a massive hit on the exit wall out of Forest Elbow for John Merritt. Wouldn't surprise me if he has a little bit of steering damage from that. That was quite a hefty hit, and that poor exit will allow Ewan Baker to come down the inside with a little bit of side drafting for the 34 machine. He's going to come down the inside. Unfortunately, he's going to be on the outside for the chase. Going to be side by side through turn number 21. There's contact with Merritt and Baker.
Baker gets sent sideways out into the grass, and he's going to try to rejoin, but there is a ferocious pack of Elantras bearing down upon him. Here's the race lead, Kuznetsov needing to defend from Dan Yeaman after that slipstream, looking for an over-under, but gets parked on the exit. Daniel Yeaman leaves a front bumper imprint on Rick Kuznetsov's rear bumper, and it brings the rest of the field. John Merritt seems to have stabilised the issues. Surely a little bit of steering damage after 1, 2, 3 knocks against the concrete, but he holds on to a podium position for the moment, and it looks super close across your top 6 there, with Kyle Ridley, Brian Borg just holding on. Here's a look at John Merritt. He gets the wall in one place, it sends him into the wall in the other, and then just 2 corners later, he gets on to the power too early, getting a little bit greedy here with a shallow entry into the elbow, and there's his third kiss on the concrete.
Yeah, so it looks like John Merritt just cold tyres, has had a lot of push on these. So this is Brockbank in the 19 machine. Unfortunately, just got the rear end loose coming into the cutting, and unfortunately got into the inside wall. Looks like
teammate on teammate friendly fire there as well at the end of that. Mike Pepper looks like he's facing backwards on the live pictures right now on the exit of Griffin's Bend. So he's going to have to wait before he can get that thing around. Very, very unfortunate place. And with the lead, Kuznetsov, he's clearly the form driver. Yeaman gets the wrong side of the curb, loses 1 position, 2 positions. Now John Merritt's back into second. Mulqueen gets up into third, and Daniel Yeaman rejoins in 4th place after a nasty ride over the exit curb at McPhillamy Park.
Might have to cue a replay of that, because that was an absolutely massive moment for Dan Yeaman. I don't know how he kept it out of that wall. That was a massive moment for the 85 machine. Very fortunate to still be in this race and only lost 2 positions. He's still got the slipstream assistance from P3 Damon Mulqueen. This will be the shot, the Racecraft replay. Just the push on the exit going across Skyline and straight into the grass, and a massive moment for Yeaman. Very lucky to be in this race. This Mike Pepper unfortunately followed another car into the corner, and then unfortunately got a little bit of contact from the rear, sent him spinning at turn 2. So a little bit for race control to look at. Yeaman again on the exit of the chase, again off the circuit, and they'll invite Lachlan Capel to the party as well. This battle for position number 4. Capel gets the move done before Murray's. Yeaman unfortunately has gone from 2nd to 5th.
I think he might have even had to have served a little bit of slowdown on the way into the braking zone there. There's a little bit of contact again at the final corner, but Yeaman, he went from sort of 3rd on the grid up into 2nd. Now he's back into 5th. Rick Kuznetsov has warmed up those tyres pretty effectively. A bit of biff and barge at turn number 1, Hell Corner, between Mulqueen and Capel potentially there. You can see the tail end of the field where, the midfield there, where Reece Gardner is sandwiched in a pretty ferocious fight between 10th and 17th, and everywhere we could show you, there is some crazy Hyundai Elantra TCR battling going on. Battles all the way from 1st place down to 29th or 30th or so. There's the man himself, Reece Gardner, getting passed by Simon Mazzomo. I think you commented that Simon Mazzomo's qualifying performance was deeper in the field than you would have expected. And Mez has made up quite a few spots so far in this race. I think he's just got another one on Gardner.
Yeah, started P17, Mazzomo, he's up to 13, so he's +4, which is a pretty good effort, especially on cold tyres. It's hard to get a move done around this place. As many overtaking opportunities as there is, it's hard to complete a move here unless you're at the chase or at Murray's or held corner. So Zomo doing well, keeping his car clean so far. Hopefully I didn't jinx him as well. And fantastic battle up front as well. I think the only guy will be really enjoying is Kuznetsov because he's got a little bit of a margin back to John Merritt 1 second. He'll still be giving him a little bit of a slipstream, but not enough for Merritt to close in and challenge him. And now Mulqueen's closing in on the back of Merritt, so could see a battle for P2 coming up pretty shortly with 13.5 minutes remaining left in race 1.
Great situation for Rick Kuznetsov. He's had second place run off the road behind him. Now the driver who is in second place might have some damage, and for Kuznetsov trying to break away a 1 second lead here, give himself some breathing room and make his job much, much easier in the final part of this race. It has been working towards him a little bit. Maybe he had a bit of a bobble through the chase there. You can see Merritt, Mulqueen, Capel with their heads down now in pursuit of him. With still plenty of this race number 1 to go and a lot of race number 2 to come as well, which will have that top 12 invert.
Yeah, the top 12 invert again. We've seen it at Akiyama for round 1, played a massive factor in the results in that race. And at the moment, it is Reese Gardner. No, it's not. It's Tom Wilkinson. Sorry, my timing was a little bit off. So Tom Wilkinson currently holding that 12th position, which more importantly will be pole position for race number 2. So that'll be a very important battle as this race winds down as well. He's got Mazoma and Gardner pressuring him in behind. We're on board with James Foster in the 14. He's really pacey in these TCR cars. Been fortunate enough to race against him a few times, and he's probably one of the best I've seen in these cars, and he's going to be pressuring Daniel Yeaman for P number 5, and he's up 3 spots as well, James Foster, so nice clean race for him so far, and he'll be looking to apply pressure to the 85 very shortly.
And Kyle Ridley holding on to the coattails of the leading group. You can see Brian Borg just off the back of that, and other battles, of course, all the way through the field. A little bit of contact in the cutting, a little bit more than a bit of contact in the cutting here. There's 2 of them sideways the wrong way, and they are getting clipped and trimmed by the rest of the field trying to work their way through, and the track is almost blocked. Now the track's blocked. The track's blocked. The track's blocked. My oh my, an absolute mess on the exit of the cutting right now. I think not everyone's facing the right way, and you've got a stopped car in the middle. Here's Reese Gardner around the outside of some damaged cars as he goes to 13th place. Looks like Clint Collard's on the back foot right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bit of calamity there on the exit of the cutting. I don't know if we'll have a safety car, as everyone has. Jonathan Akers has just requested a tow, I believe, so we might see a safety car. He's stuck on the exit of the cutting, and we think we'll be getting a safety car very shortly. This is the Racecraft replay of what has happened. This is Jonathan Akers and one of the Juice-sponsored cars. Oh, contact there with Akers. We'll see where Akers, he gets bound up. Bit of contact on the exit there. And then that's where other cars come in and cause a bit of calamity, trying to reverse out the situation. It's probably not an ideal spot to do it. And Jonathan Akers, I can confirm he has been cleared to go. And there's the next one. Unfortunately, it gets worse, David.
It definitely did. It definitely did keep getting worse. So it's all right there, but it's because they didn't both reverse in unison, and then they just ended up unblocking the left side of the track, your broadside blocking the right side of the track, and just a messy place to try to get 1, let alone 2 cars turned around facing the right way. Blind on the exit, high concrete walls both sides, track is narrow through that point. There's no runoff because it is just concrete walls on the left and the right hand side of the track. Super tough. Into the second part of this race now, underneath 10 minutes to go in this 20-minute opening race. Kuznetsov's still leading, just holding that 1/8 of a second gap-ish at the lead at the moment from John Merritt, from Damon Mulqueen, Lachlan Capel. Eamon just maybe dropping out of the slipstream of 4th place Capel at the moment. Might need to worry about James Foster and Kyle Ridley. And you've always, in this opening race, got to think about who's in 12th position, because they'll be on pole for race number 2. And at the moment, there's a battle for 12th between Simon Mazzomo, Tom Wilkinson, and Reese Gardner.
Yeah, very important battle on screen for that 12th place. And just know, Damon Mulqueen's just dropped off the back of John Murray just a little bit. It was within half a second, about a lap or so ago, and now he's just dropped off a couple of tenths and now been pressured by Lachlan Capel there for the final podium spot. But this is the important one as well between Mazzomo, Wilkinson, and Gardner, like you touched on, David. And Looks like Reece Gardner's got a little bit of pace on Tom Wilkinson at the moment, so he might look to get something done as he gets a little bit of rear brake lock coming into the elbow. And will stay in 13th for now, but he's got a nice little slipstream to work with and just over 8.5 minutes remaining, so plenty of time to try and get a move done for Reece Gardner.
Now, if I was Mark Scaife, I'd say 300 kilometers an hour on the way into the chase here, even if the facts said it was 292 or something. But the reality is the highest speed through the speed trap I've seen, 251 kilometers an hour. Not pedestrian at all for a Hyundai i30 sedan.
Battle's still heating up here, David, between Wilkinson and Gardner. And Mazomo can't quite pull away either. He's got no one to pull him ahead in front of Ray Oliver's about 4 seconds up the road from Mazomo at the moment. So Mazomo's a little bit of a sitting duck at the moment, with Wilkinson and Gardner getting a little bit of tow and probably a bit more assistance to Gardner being that second car in the train. So this one will be certainly one to watch out for in the remaining minutes of this race.
Yeah, right now with Wilkinson in 12th, Reece Gardner in 13th, and that top 12 invert to come is if you're Reece Gardner and you can make the pass up into 12th place, you'll start race number 2 on pole position. If you can't, you'll start it from 13th place. So there is, from gaining 1 position on track, a 12 grid spot reward to be had from being inside of that top 12 that's part of the reverse grid. I'm sure he'll be very, very aware of it, doing all he can with 7 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, he 100% will be. He'll be pushing as hard as he can without trying to make a mistake. And looks like Wilkinson's actually closing in a little bit on Mazomo in the first half of lap number 6 here. So maybe Wilkinson might be pressuring Mazomo here down Conrod straight on this lap, and might invite Reece Gardner into the battle as well. If Wilkinson and Mazomo can get on battling very shortly, might invite Gardner into it too. So very interesting battle, 3-way battle here from 11th through to 13th. So you want to keep an eye out on. But Rick Kuznetsov actually have just had a look back at the leaders. Merritt's closed back in on Kuznetsov. So John Merritt's a bit more slipstream. He's within half a second, just over half a second actually, to Rick Kuznetsov. So maybe the lead battle for the race lead could be heating up in the following minutes of this race as well, David.
Rick Kuznetsov on his way into the chase there, hitting 245 kilometers an hour. John Merritt in the slipstream hitting 248. Don't have to worry about topping off that 6th gear and hitting the rev limiter. Reece Gardner looking for 12th place on the right-hand side on the way into the chase, running out of room on the exit before the left-hander, looking to go over-under, maybe looking to leave a bumper imprint there on Tom Wilkinson. They'll have 3 more laps here. Fastest lap changing a couple of times there as well. As you can see, they're finding a lot of pace right now, this far 15 minutes into the race. Fastest lap now residing with Lachlan Capel in 4th place, 2:17.998. Reece Gardner's going to have another look down the inside, this time at Hell Corner, turn number 1. Going to try to escort Wilkinson a little bit wide. Don't think he meant to escort him that wide, but up into 12th place goes Reece Gardner.
It's touring car racing, David. I think Rubbin's racing. I don't think there was any malice in that at all. They came into the corner side by side. Looks like maybe a little bit of push and from Gardner and probably a little bit of early turn in from Wilkinson caused that contact there. But fortunately for Race, he's into P12 at the moment. But the unfortunate thing is Wilkinson's going to be hot on his tail for the remaining laps and with the slipstream. So no mistakes from Reece from here on out, and he should be pretty comfortable with P12, but it's certainly going to be a very interesting battle for the remaining laps.
How about another look here? Okay, braking deep, getting the apex, riding it a little bit, but at all times, it looks like a car width around the outside there. He doesn't track out all the way on him either. This is the race lead, and it's getting spicier. John Merritt is closer. He's within a car length now as they come out of Forest Elbow, down Conrod Straight. And we talked about that slipstream being worth 3-4 kilometers an hour by the end of the straight here as well. Definitely striking range on Rick Kuznetsov into the chase, or at least really making him think about it.
Yeah, obviously those first lap hits in the wall hasn't really affected John Merritt too much because he's still got a lot of speed, and right on the rear bumper of the number 1 of Kuznetsov will have 4 minutes remaining now, so I assume 2 more laps left in this race for him to try and make a move for the race win here in race number 1 for round 3 of the championship here at Bathurst. And still in behind, another very good battle for P number 3 between Mulqueen and Capel. They've been going at it for most of this race, and in behind them still Yeaman and Foster going at it. So some 2x2 action throughout the top 6, and Merritt not quite close enough to get anything done at turn 1. Foster on the other hand is right on Daniel
In the
Yeaman.
mean hand, on the meanwhile?
It's been a long day, David. It's been a long day. But Daniel Yeaman under a lot of pressure here from James Foster. He's going to go to the outside coming to turn 2. Probably not the most wise move from Foster. Will he get anything done on the outside? He thinks better of it, gets in behind and tries to follow him around the top once again and maybe try again at the chase.
And I think Yeaman pushed out of the groove a little bit, got a bit wide, not a great exit, just continual pressure here from Foster. Look at it, swap back to the inside, making a little bit of contact at the cutting. Foster starting to get a little bit desperate. It hasn't worked. Kyle Ridley's all over him now, and Ridley's going to be shown no space whatsoever as they come up underneath the tree. Brian Borg's been able to catch this battle as well. He spent lap after lap after lap in this race in 8th place, looking at the top 7, wishing he could join them. And now, as this battle kicks off between Yeaman Foster and Kyle Ridley, Brian Borg will be able to join them.
It's going to turn into a 4-way battle for position number 5 at the moment. Unfortunately, Yeaman hasn't been able to quite keep up with the pace of the top 4, and he's been holding off some very fast operators in these cars in the name of James Foster, Ridley, and now, like you touched on, Borg right in the battle as well in the 71. So this one's going to heat up. A bit over a lap remaining in this race. Looks like Foster's just dropped off a little bit to Yeaman, and this might invite Kyle Ridley into it at the bottom of the chase, potentially for position number 6 here.
He's looking, he's thinking, he's closing in with all manner of speed. He's right at the bumper, at the commitment point here, looking down the inside, not able to break deep enough. Kyle Ridley drops back in line. Yeaman makes a little bit of a mess of the apex there as well, and we're going to be starting the final lap of the race. Rick Kuznetsov taking the white flag, but only 0.3 of a second ahead of John Merritt. They can't trip over each other either because Damon Mulqueen and Lachlan Capel are right behind them as well. 6.2 more kilometres of racing in race number 1, and it couldn't be closer for the lead.
Yeah, it's nothing in it at all. Under 0.3 of a second between the top 2. Merritt's either going to have a go at Griffin's Bend at turn 2 or pretty well wait till the chase to get the move done. And the risk of making a move at Griffin's Bend, you're going to be exposed at the chase, and doesn't look like he's going to make a move here at turn number 2. So it looks like he's going to follow in Kuznetsov all the way around the top until he can have a run at the chase and hope he's close enough to try and make a move. But we've seen Kuznetsov not make too many mistakes throughout this whole series, let alone just in race 1 tonight. So it's going to be a very interesting tussle all the way through. Mulqueen runs a little bit wide on the exit of the cutting as well. Just glances the wall on the exit. He's just enough in front of Capel to not be under threat at the moment, but we're going to keep an eye out on the battle for the lead, and also the battle for P12 is still right there. Mizomo, Gardner, and Wilkinson they haven't left each other alone all race long. Mizomo's lost a little bit more time to Ray Oliver, and now he's in the clutches of Reese Gardner as well, and Wilkinson's still right there waiting to pounce for that 12th position.
Yeah, you want to be inside of that top 12. You really want to be in that top 12. Reese Gardner, he's going to give that wall a little bit of a hello. He won't be the first. He won't be the last. Wilkinson on his tail, and I think just catching that slow Mizomo slowed Gardner up a little bit. Race lead is top of your screen, 0.3 of a second. John Merritt is close enough to strike. He's been this close before and not been able to make a move, but those other times, they weren't the last lap. Everyone knows you see that white flag, you can break 10 meters deeper. It's just magic like that, and it's one really big braking zone to see it out. John Merritt, 16 hundredths of a second behind there, right to the rear bumper of Rick Kuznetsov. Can you have a go for the race lead at the final corner here as well? You'd be a fool if in Rick Kuznetsov's shoes if you didn't cover it off. You've got to defend the inside on the last corner, on the last opportunity of a race number 1 here, and from pole position, perfectly managed. Rick Kuznetsov wins from John Merritt. Damon Mulqueen, Lachlan Capel. Yeaman will hold on to 5th place there. But what about the top 12? Gardner holding on for dear life from Tom Wilkinson. Looks like Gardner might just be able to hold on. Mizomo still just in front of him. And with Gardner in 12th position, he'll start on pole for race number 2 with the top 12 invert. He looks like he knows it.
Yeah, that's pretty happy reaction there for
You can tell
Reece
he's already
Gardner.
thinking how he's going to launch the start at race 2. He's
He's-
already thinking about his clutch bite point.
He's probably trying to think how he try and not mess it up, especially starting off pole for Reece, but fantastic effort and some great racing throughout the field. We've seen the top 2 go at it, and then the battle between Mulqueen and Capel for P3. Then that 4-way fight for 5th was phenomenal as well, and then the battle for P12, and it's still going on in the background as well. Bit of rally cross.
You can't scare him. He's going to go round the outside. He's been over every curb, every piece of grass in the battle for 24th place with Dale Atkins. But Atkins gets a better run off of the chase, and he's got the inside for the final corner. No slowdowns being displayed here whatsoever. Side by side in the final corner. Dale Atkins crosses back, and he gets 24th place back on the final corner.
Once again, this series is delivering. There's battles all throughout the field and some fantastic racing. That was just the entree for tonight. We go double the distance for race number 2, but we'll recap race number 1. 9 laps, 20 minutes, and it was Rick Konesov winning by just 0.3 of a second over John Merritt in the 64. The 42 of Damon Mulqueen rounding out the podium. Lachlan Capel and Daniel Yeaman rounding out the top 5, and then it was James Foster, Cole Ridley, Brian Borg, Shane Clancy, and Ray Oliver rounding out the top 10.
Looking through the rest of the field there, Simon Mizomo in 11th, Reece Gardner in that lucky 12th place for the top 12 invert, Tom Wilkinson just behind, ahead of Aaron Major, Jacques Sornepool, Clint Collard, Thomas Jones, Barry Ponter, Rick Satria, and Matthew Keane in 20th.
21st was Jesse McMenamin, finishing 21st. Joe Capone, Ewan Baker, unfortunately, started right up the front in that one. Unfortunately, better damage and that contact with John Merritt. We'll see him finish 23rd. Dale Atkins, Peter Pavlovich ran out the top 25. John Lee, Michael Locke, Cameron Edwards, Naval in 29th, and Paul Brockbank in P number 30. And then the rest of the field after that were all multiple laps down. Craig Davidson, Jonathan Akers, Tom in the 39 car, Greg Levine and Mike Pepper, unfortunately, 7 laps down. 35 cars in the field tonight. I thought it was 36, so that's my bad. But I think we'll be going to a quick ad break, and then we'll be right back for race number 2, David. And I'm really looking forward to it. 40 minutes, a pit stop required as well. It's going to be some fantastic racing. But before we go to that, viewer discount for Sudspeed. Use code Elantra for 10% off, include free shipping, which is pretty cool. You can get a pair of sim racing gloves, merchandise, and really good deal, 10% off and free shipping. Can't beat that.
We've had the first bite of the delicious meal that is Racecraft Summer Elantra Cup at Mount Panorama. Stick with us, because when we come back, the 40-minute feature race, compulsory pit stops on the mountain. Stay with us on SimSpeed TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back, gearing up for the final race of the night in the Racecraft Summer Elantra Championship from the granddaddy of them all, our most famous racetrack, Mount Panorama Circuit. And it's been good racing too. We've got the top 12 invert heading into the 40-minute race number 2. We're here at Mount Panorama. Let's take a look at the rest of the schedule from this championship. Started at Okayama International Circuit, then Alton Park for round number 2. Now here at Mount Panorama. Still 3 rounds to go across the summer with Brands Hatch, Laguna Seca and Sandown to round it out. You'll see all of it here on SimSpeed TV. Give us a follow wherever you're watching because there's lots of other great action too, and you won't want to miss those final 3 rounds. Here we are for race number 2, that top 12 invert. No extra qualifying, and it means Reece Gardner is going to start on the pole for race number 2. About time we have a look at that grid then, I reckon.
And it is said Reece Gardner will start in pole position after finishing in 12th position in race number 1. Beside him will be Simon Zomo, 2 SimSpeed commentators sharing the front row there with Ray Oliver and Shane Clancy. They will share row number 2. Brian Borg and Kyle Ridley will share row 3. James Foster and Daniel Yeaman will share row 4. Capel and Mulqueen sharing row 5. And then the top 2 from race number 1, Merritt and Kusesov, will start 11th and 12th. And then the rest of the grid will be as they finished in race number 1. So Wilkinson and Major, Swanpool and Collard, Jones and Punter, Ricky in the 36 will start 19th, and Matthew Keane will round out the top 20, David.
Yeah, again, as they finished race number 1, so there's a couple of drivers that were involved in some incidents that look to move forward. Jessica McMenamin and Joe Capone are 21st and 22nd there. Ewan Baker, I think definitely one of them that could be in the top 10, but he had a meatball flag, went through the pit lane in race number 1. He's 23rd, and alongside him in 24th is Dale Atkins, who won his little race against Peter Pavlovich, who's 25th. John Lee's there in 26th, and then we've got Michael Locker and Cam Edwards, and Naval Sechuan moved up some spots through that race number 1. We'll start 29th alongside Paul Brockbank in the 30th, and then Craig Davidson and Jonathan Akers. Well, let's hope we can keep them apart in 31st and 32nd. Same for Yaklievich and Greg Levine back here in 33rd and 34th. Some of the walking wounded from race number 1, hoping they can go better in race number 2. Last driver on the grid looks like it's Mike Pepper. Can we get the Reece Gardner nerves, Cam? How's he going in the most prime of pole positions, or a bit of forehead sweat potentially there, Brady?
That could just be the shine as well.
Polishing the one side.
The deep breath. He's laser focused. Hopefully he's got his eyes open for the start.
Speed. I am speed. 1 winner, 34 losers. Reece Gardner eats losers for breakfast. We're going to see 40 minutes of racing, compulsory pit stop, that reverse grid putting Southpaw Racer on the front row. Our race 1 winner starting from 12th with positions to make. And there is a big difference of getaways on the start here. Not a great launch there from your pole sitter. Not a great launch from Ray Oliver either, as he loses a couple of spots. Immediately looking around the outside on your race winner, Simon Mazzomo, not race pole sitter. Simon Mazzomo not able to make any moves just yet. The field's heading up Mountain Straight. Gardner still in the lead. And here's your side-by-side. Borg and Oliver, who got a really, really slow getaway from the second row of the grid there. Gardner doing his best to defend the inside line into turn number 2 and to defend that race lead. It's the bit of the track that you want to be on right here, because look at that, round the outside, no grip, no speed. James Foster's going to lose out in his little battle against Daniel Yeaman.
More importantly, Rick Kuznetsov, race 1 winner, did not get off the line at all. He is buried down at the back of the field. So big news there. Race 1 winner down in 25th. Did not get off the line whatsoever. Very lucky not to get collected off the start line. So there'll be a big one to watch as we go through this race. But Reece Gardner, a really nice getaway there, is holding off Simon Mazzomo for now. Clancy's moved up to P number 3. Ridley up to 4th, so Ray Oliver unfortunately has dropped back 3 spots off this start. Now with Konastov out of the picture, might be a few guys' chances to try and gain some points in the all-important championship. Guys like Mole Queen, Merritt and Capel and co will be looking for some really good, solid results in this 40-minute race. There's contact at the elbow.
Oliver hard
Oliver
into the wall, missing some panels there down at the elbow, and he's dropping back, and that car is toast. That rear suspension is no bueno. Reece Gardner still from that pole position, leading the way at the moment with Mazomo breathing down his neck. Less than a tenth of a second here. Mazomo's got the speed. They're still all on cold tyres. The grip's not going to quite be there, but Mez is feeling brave to go around the outside, have a look to the inside. He hasn't managed to pull that one off. Behind, got Shane Clancy, Kyle Ridley, Brian Borg here. That it's reading. Having a look then at what happened for Ray Oliver. Did he get a little bit of contact from Lachlan Capel on the way into the braking zone, or was it just cold rear tyres? We definitely saw drivers locking rears on the way into there with warm tyres as well. This is because Netsov's launch.
Nothing really to talk about. Just did not go anywhere. Rear view cam. We'll see how close he did get. He did get it going eventually. Very lucky not to get any rear end contact. He's still in this race, but he's got a lot of work to do in this race as we have our first penalty for the night. It's the number 5 of Mike Pepper. Black flag for some contact on that one as Gardner just holding off Mazomo, who had a look down the inside. That checked up Shane Clancy. Now Cole Ridley makes the move for P number 3. So very good move there from Ridley being right there. And there is a safety car being called. There is a
Brian
safety
Borg
car.
snuck down the inside of Shane Clancy right before that safety car got called. And so field beginning to slow up now. Reece Gardner still leading him at the moment.
Trying to find where the safety car, the reason for the safety car. My end's not playing the game, but we might have a replay coming in to know why we have. This is Oliver. Oh, the car has just completely failed. Sent him hard into the wall down Conrod, and he won't be going anywhere. So that is the reason for the safety car, and doesn't look like he got going once again. So good call there from race control. He's only just gotten the car back into the pits, but they played it safe, called the safety car. I don't mind that call at all.
Tried to push his shopping trolley too quickly with a wobbly wheel down Conrod Straight there and spilt his groceries all over the place. Pit window opens in 40 seconds. Your leader is bringing them quickly down towards the chase. So I don't think Reece Gardner or Simon Mazomo will be able to pit, but then also the rest of the field can't leave too much space to them, can they?
No, otherwise it might be another Fabian Coulthard situation and Debris and holding up the field. So if you're right down the back of the field and you get to the pit entry, by the time the window opens, it's definitely going to be worth coming into the lane and serve that pit stop. But I'm trying to picture through who Pavlovich, and looks like, is that Baker come into the pits? And it opens now. So that is that deemed legal because he hasn't actually entered the pit lane?
You tell me, but I know he triggered the start of the pit lane time at the start of the pit lane speed limit just after. We're going to take a look at what gave the penalty, and that's Jonathan Akers to the right there in black and green, and this considered a little too optimistic, and for the second time in 2 races, Akers ended up broadside on the exit of the cutting.
Unfortunately, yeah, for Akers, he'll have to do it the hard way once again. Pepper's come through to serve his penalty, but Ewan Baker unfortunately didn't have any good luck in race 1. He's now served that pit stop, so he's going to come from deep in the field, but remember, everyone else has to pit, and he's got some really good pace aboard the 34, so there'll be one to watch out for come later in the race once everyone serves that pit stop. Ewan Baker might end up somewhere near the front, but he'll have to get through some cars pretty quickly to make advantage of all the time that he's going to lose being in traffic for so long.
A couple of other cars came through the lane with him. You can see Barry Ponder and Thomas Jones are in the lane at the moment for what I think is damage, but it looks like typical pit stops from Cam Edwards, Naval Setuan, Matthew Keane. So, a couple of drivers took the opportunity.
There is discussion happening about when the pit lane was actually open. Just listening to him now. So it is when you enter the pit lane. So Ewan Baker and everyone behind him will be safe because he entered the pit lane a fraction after 5 minutes in the race. That is the rule in this series. You can't do your pit stop in the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes. Oh, and there's a pile up on Skyline. There's a pile up on
There
Skyline.
is. Naval Setuan just saying what great work he has done. That thing is around at Skyline, and the front left is damaged quite significantly. Steering damage for Setuan. Yeah, that thing will not turn. And I think that's his body panel that's missing there. There's one thing I know about Mount Panorama, it's that those fans across the top of the mountain at McPhillamy Park are not only very knowledgeable, but very well lubricated. So they might have some advice for him.
Yeah, I think so. And I was just watching on board with him, and looks like he was actually dropping in and out as he did it. So it didn't affect anyone else, and maybe he lost a little bit of connection. Possibly didn't see the field bunched up. Is probably my guess because he came in at a great rate of knots into a slowing field. So bit of an interesting situation, but looks like no one else has really been affected by it. So
Big winners early so far in this race. 15 positions gained for Craig Davidson, 12 gained for Tom Yaklevich, 10 gained for Greg Levine. So there have been a couple of big moves, and then of course Kyle Ridley's come from 6th to 3rd in this race so far as well. Those are your most positions gained so far in this race. Pit lane will be open this time around. The safety car is staying out, and this gives everyone an opportunity to pit. But I think, do you know what it also does? It gives an opportunity for people like Ewan Baker to cycle through to the lead of the race, surely.
this is going to be very interesting. The field's going to be very mixed up. It was already a little bit mixed up with the top 12 invert, but I think it's going to be even now more mixed up. Trying to pick up who the Ricky in the 36 is the leader, but I don't know if he's made his pit stop yet. So we'll have to try and get some more information before we go green and see who has pitted, who hasn't. I thought Ewan Baker was the leader of the guys that had pitted, but I could be wrong there. We'll see who comes out in front. It should be Reese Gardner coming out of the pits. We'll see. And he's been jumped actually by Shane Clancy. Clancy's come out in front. Capel has jumped in. Mazzomo. And Reese Gardner, unfortunately, has lost a few spots in the pit lane cycle, so potentially a slower stop, or the other guys have maybe taken a little bit less fuel than him.
A big race off pit lane, but also a big variation in those pit stop times that you can see. Some as quick as 8 seconds, some at 10 seconds, a lot of pit stops around 12 or 13 seconds. Looking at the group behind the safety car, you've got Ricky Satria leading, has not stopped. Craig Davidson second, has not stopped. Peter Pavlovich third, has not stopped. And then John Lee, Michael Locker, Paul Brockbank, and Jonathan Akers have not stopped. In 8th in the train, having made their compulsory pit stop, we believe, within the window, is Ewan Baker. So he's in 8th at the moment with only cars that haven't stopped in front of him. Got Cam Edwards, Matthew Keane, all those other guys that were lucky enough to pit the previous time around that have launched to the front. And yeah, Reese Gardner's been jumped by a handful of drivers. Mazzomo, Daniel Gaiman, Kyle Ridley, Lachlan Capel, and Sean Clancy, all jumping Reese Gardner through the lane. But that stop time for Shane Clancy, just 5 seconds. Has he taken enough fuel? Because that is not only very short, but it's an outlier compared to everyone else within the net top 10.
Certainly seems that way, considering, like you touched on, some guys were taking 10 to 13 second stops to get fuel. So it's going to be interesting there with Clancy. Is he going to do a massive fuel saver and just got track position? I'm not 100% sure, but it'll be one to watch out for in the remainder of this race. We still got 28.5 minutes in this race, so it's a long time to go, and we didn't really get the race going much at the start there, so it's a long time in this race. Like he touched on, the top 7 haven't taken their pit stop yet, and Ewan Baker, we believe, is the effective race leader, but we'll see how all that plays out. I know there were still discussions about those first round of stops, including Baker, Edwards, Keane, and Punter, and Clancy is the leader of the guys that pitted just then in P12. So the lights are out on the safety car. It's about to pull away, and it'll be Ricky in the 36 will be leading him to green this time by.
This is going to be a pretty exciting race restart again with those top 7 drivers that haven't stopped yet. Ewan Baker in 8th. Ricky Satria, though, he looks ready to go, ready to lead a lap or two if he can. And of course, like we mentioned, that pit stop window remains open all the way till 5 minutes left in the race. So still plenty of time for a handful of those other drivers to run long and be able to stop. Cam Edwards having a problem? Okay, so it's safety car about to pull in. Ricky Satri is leading the way. Just behind him, Craig Davidson. No relation to Craig David, best I can tell.
Pavlovich leaving a massive gap in P3 as well.
So, what Craig Davidson passes before the final corner there will look to lead us to the green flag restart. He runs out wide across the grass. Now Ricky Satria looks to go back. They're side by side for the race lead here. A rather unconventional restart. Some of these drivers maybe not used to leading the field on a restart. They haven't stopped. It's 8th place that we need to look at as Ewan Baker has a dive for 1 position. He's now up into 7th. He's the only driver in this group that has stopped. He can smell a race win in the feature at Mount Panorama if he can get past some of these cars that haven't stopped yet, if he can keep his nose clean. The next car for position with him is Cam Edwards, who's having some technical problems, and then behind that maybe Matthew Keane or Keane, maybe Shane Clancy, who we know may be under-fueled. It's looking good for Ewan Baker right now. There's a bit of a mess behind him as we come to this race restart with still 25 minutes to go, but Ricky Satri is leading them at the moment.
Yeah, Ricky out in front, and Cameron Edwards unfortunately been disqualified for all those technical issues, and be very hard for guys to race around him with all those dramas, so probably the right call there from Racecraft. But this is going to be an intense battle. 10th on back, guys that just pitted. Some of the faster guys who are up the front in race number 1 now, following the way through in this very mixed up field and led by Shane Clancy, but he's got Capel, Ridley, Yeaman and co all behind him. So it's going to be very intense battling. 25 minutes remaining in this race, so a bit over half the race left, and it's going to be very intense. And Yeaman, bold move down the dipper on Kyle Ridley, side by side on the exit. This can be very exciting when we get to the elbow. Will Yeaman try and hold the inside once again? He's going to have a look, and there's contact.
Massive car park going on at Forest Elbow. The only difference between genius and stupidity is whether you can pull it off. Dan Yeaman, we are 2 wide, multiple rows deep, as these quick drivers who've made their pit stops try to work their way past a handful of cars that haven't stopped yet. On board with Dan Yeaman, he is boxed in, can't go left, can't go right. He's looking at an Elantra sandwich in front of him and wondering if Shane Clancy has enough fuel. Here we go down into the braking zone at the chase. Super committed from these guys. Would be race leaders once it all shakes out, but it hasn't yet. And that's where the chaos, the carnage, the unpredictability is coming from right now. And it's given Dan Yeaman a little bit of a smile on his face. We're 3 wide onto the braking zone here at the final corner. It's 3 wide, even deeper in the field. Looks like Reece Gardner's getting sandwiched there as well. Ewan Baker, though, what a great race restart he's had, taking the fastest lap of the race there and working his way up to 4th already. Still 3 wide on the way in towards turn 1. James Foster down the inside of Reece Gardner, who backs out of it, but 3 wide ends poorly, and Michael Locke gets spun around and he ends up in the wall.
Unfortunately there for Michael Locke, he's one of the guys that hasn't made that pit stop yet, and looks. Oh, there's a big crash. Oh.
Now Reece Gardner's being tangled up with it. Looks like Brian Borg and James Foster as well. 3 cars on Mountain Straight have ended up in the wall, and it is those drivers, as mentioned, 3 wide, has not ended well whatsoever. Ewan Baker's worked his way up to 3rd place. Now Shane Clancy, I think, is next 3rd, with Ridley 4th, Dan Yeaman 5th at the moment. The way it runs at the moment, it's not done yet. Lachlan Capel, he's getting half turned around off of the nose of Rick Kuznetsov by the looks of things. Zomo, in fact.
This is absolutely wild, Dave. I can't keep up with what is going on. We got Foster and Reece Gardner, and there's another safety car. There is another safety car.
3 heavily damaged cars on Mountain Straight, and if it takes out the engine, if the cars can't move on their own, likely to bring out a safety car. So we will get that, and you can see, I'm looking at the screen, looking at his gloves, Reece Gardner is not pleased. We'll get a replay, no doubt. There was so much happening for a couple corners in a row there. It was 3 wide into the final corner, 3 wide into the first corner, 3 wide heading up Mountain Straight. Someone's tagged someone into someone, and it's ended in tears. So if I got this right, is that Mez or Kuznetsov on our left? Simon Mazzomo to our left, on board with Brian Borg. Reece Gardner somewhere in the middle, getting maybe dive bombed by James Foster. Ooh. And then it keeps going from there. There's Foster into Borg. Borg into... Ooh.
I think it's just all
Foster
probably a little bit
bit?
clumsy. A little bit. It looks like John Merritt as well.
It was very clumsy.
Another shot. Merritt was on the grass going around the outside of Reece Gardner as well.
To be honest, as we're under safety car, a couple of other cars are coming to pit lane now. It's definitely open for anyone who hasn't stopped yet. But Ricky Satria leads, and in second now, Ewan Baker. Peter Pavlovich up into 3rd, hasn't stopped yet, so a couple of cars are going to the lane either for fuel, like Shane Clancy. He's on the pit lane for more fuel. He was net 2nd place, really, of all the cars that had stopped, but he didn't take enough the first time around. He's back on pit lane for a 2nd time.
And another very short stop as well, but yeah, we will have a look at the
Foster makes it 3 wide into turn 1 here as he dives down the inside of Reece Gardner. And then Brian Borg has his own little moment there as he's sandwiched. Okay, so... Oh, okay. Right. 4 wide. And they settle it out. And then Foster comes across a little bit. I feel like Borg and Gardner are... Gardner's all the way up against the white line on the right-hand side. Borg's holding it in the middle. It squeezes down a little bit to the right.
I don't think it probably helped the matter as well that Merritt was on the grass passing Reece, and that sort of squeezed him down into Borg, who was the middle car as well. To me, I think it's just a little bit clumsy from a few drivers, unfortunately. It's taken 3 of them out in this race. So it's unfortunate that it's happened in such a big way that they're completely out of the race. Unfortunately, it is racing. We'll see Merritt go on the grass to try and pass Reece, and then
but they work it out after that, right? They have a bit of door banging, and now they settle it out, and then they kick off again.
Yeah,
but I can't overlook the massive irony of it all is that the Gardner gets mowed down.
Yes. Unfortunately for Reece, it was all looking really good. Pole sitter for the race. Big dive bomb from Foster at 1. That sort of kicked off contact Borg into lock. That's sort of really how it all kicked off, was the big bomb from Foster on Borg at turn 1. They got into lock. So I don't know if he can really pin one single person for that. Not going to be a fun job for race control to try and deal with how that's going to be worked out. So
if we watch 100 angles, Borg's on board could be a bit interesting as well. There are 4 cars on track that haven't stopped at the moment. Ricky Satria in 1st, Peter Pavlovich in 3rd, John Lee in 4th, and Jonathan Akers in 5th. And then you get to Barry Punter, who stopped potentially outside of the window. Okay, how about Tom Wilkinson's on board? You can see he is 4 or 5 cars back here. So he sees John Merritt go for the World Rally Championship.
Front row view.
Ooh. I don't think Borg goes left there.
It's going to be a very difficult one to dissect, I think, David. But more importantly, we're going back racing once again. Ricky in the 36 will be leading us off. Still hasn't made that pit stop like he touched on, 4 guys who haven't. More importantly, Ewan Baker, who got very lucky with the timing of that safety car and where he was on track, made his pit stop within a few seconds of the pit window opening, and he is now P2. So, could be looking like a very good result at this stage for the 34 of Ewan Baker, but just under 18 minutes remaining, still a lot to play out here, David.
Ricky's had his practice being the leading car on the restart. Let's see, maybe, definitely thinking about the pit lane. Jonathan Akers is going to hit pit entry this time on the race restart. And so now there's only 3 drivers that haven't stopped yet. I think Satcher has hit the loud pedal. We're racing once again. 17 and a half minutes left on the clock. Ewan Baker can smell a race win. His next rivals are in 5th and 6th place. They've still got a little bit of traffic for them. As you can see here, back with Kyle Ridley, Daniel Yeaman, Damon Mulqueen, the kind of drivers that have a chance of mowing him down, but now there's one less car in between as Jonathan Lee runs wide through the gravel on the exit of turn number 1, and he's going to get swallowed up by the pack up Mountain Straight on this restart.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just run a little bit wide there at turn 1. Looks like Matthew Keane might try and get a move done around the outside here at turn 2. It's going to be a very bold move, but looks like he's going to be clear on the entry. There's going to be a little bit of door rubbing there between them. Lee didn't want to give up the position. That's going to invite Mulqueen right into it as well. Also behind him is Capel and Mazzomo. So looks like Lee's going to concede, try and go around the outside at the cutting. Not the best place to be, but he's kept it out of harm's way for now. He's going to try and slot in behind Wilkinson by the looks of it. So Lee kept it out of trouble there after a very adventurous restart, and Ewan Baker right on the rear bumper of Ricky for the race leaders. We've got more calamity at the cutting. There's more calamity.
Greg
Brock
Levine
Bain,
and one or two others
as well.
Yeah, I think Kuznetsov's just made a bit of door-to-door contact with Sean Lee over the top. Plenty going on. Are we going to get another safety car? Be great to see this one race all the way to the end, but we'll see what happens with those 3 cars that had come together. Ewan Baker's still looking to take that race lead ASAP, because if he can build out a little bit of a lead, might be able to help him. Got a little bit of damage. There's a free front bumper that Barry Punter's left behind, and he will be disappointed with that. He was in such a great position.
Yeah, Kuznetsov, after that incident, he had terminal damage. He's been allowed to tow back to the pits, and looks like Barry Punter might be in the same situation. Massive right front damage to the 440 machine. So I think he's going to be out of this one. He might be able to make it back to pit lane. This is going to be him in the 440. See what happens here coming to
Ridley behind him,
Summer.
I think, but there's no contact. It's just that rear gets so light over the crest as you turn into the braking zone. Rear locking, rear instability, and he would have been driving in the mirrors somewhat as well. Car park happening at the final corner. Another driver going for pit lane as well. Might be John Lee, who's still got to clear his pit stop. Here's Lachlan Capel having a look at Matthew Keane. And he's going to lead a train of some of these quick guys down the inside of turn number 1. Just a little bit of door banging there. Simon Mazzomo wants to get through Keane as well. And then John Merritt, Damon Mulqueen, Tom Wilkinson, and Jacques Swanepoel, the next group of drivers as well. He's saying go, 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 go.
Urging on Dan Yeaman, trying to get onto the back of these guys, and some fantastic battling throughout this field. There's 2 little battle packs here forming. Baker's now gone to the race lead, and contact with Mazzomo half spinning. It's all going on, David. It's all going on. Oh,
now Mez gets turned into the outside wall on the left as well, and he gets absolutely massive damage. I think he got sent over the fence as well. Ewan Baker leads, but Ricky Satria held him up just long enough that Dan Yeaman is all over him. This is that next group of drivers behind here as well. Wilkinson, Merritt, Jacques Swanepoel in behind Matthew Keane.
Oh.
The race leader has a black flag for causing contact on lap 1. We're taking another look at the replay here. It gets super messy here, but then it straightens itself out. On the left-hand side, Merritt, behind that, Mazzomo gets sent
the
into some
shadow
private
realm.
property.
Unfortunately, Mole Queen was caught up in that as well. So a few of the heavy hitters, and there's more. There's more going on. It's Aaron Major down there at the exit on the entry of the S's. Sorry, and Mole Queen Major has requested a tow, and I think Mole Queen's going to be in similar, but he's got terminal damage on his car. He's crawling around. There's so much going on, so much to unpack. So far, David, as Yeaman goes down the inside.
Baker with a penalty. Satria yet to stop. Daniel Yeaman goes through and he's in the race leading position once it all shakes out. Going to serve the penalty right now, Ewan Baker. Going to take some fuel, Peter Pavlovich. Kyle Ridley thinking, I can still win this, but I got to get around Ricky Satria super quickly. Otherwise, Daniel Yeaman will sail off into the sunset because he takes the race lead now.
So we believe this is the penalty for Ewan Baker on the first lap. Oh, tough one to call. I don't want to be in race control trying to call that. Yes, there was contact made, but I don't know. That's a tough one for race control, and unfortunately, Ewan Baker has served that penalty, and he will be down about 18th, 19th position. So a long way from the front, and it's Daniel Yeaman who is now the leader of this race, and so a lot to play at. 12 minutes remaining. A lot of big hitters in the championship out of this race, so it's going to be really good points on here for the 85 of Daniel Yeaman.
Ridley's going to want to get through quickly because Yeaman's getting away, but also Lachlan Capel's bearing down on him. And then we have John Merritt, Tom Wilkinson. They've managed to get through a little bit of that traffic, particularly as Pavlovich pitted as well, we saw. Chuck Swanepoel, Matthew Keane just behind that. Here's Ewan Baker. And so he has come out, I'm pretty sure he came out in 17th. He's already passed Craig Davidson. He's lining up Mike Pepper as the next driver. Shane Clancy up the road from that. If you think, can he make up 5-6 seconds in the remaining bit of the race, then he can make his way all the way back up inside of the top 10. Mole Queen has some big damage.
Yeah, Mole Queen's made it back to pit lane. He will be getting that fast repair so he can get out and get some finishing points for his championship. He's been right up there all series, so unfortunately got caught up in the Mazomo Matthew Keane contact. He's now going to be on the exit. The fresh car, unfortunately, is going to be a lap down, so not quite a lap down, apologies, but he's going to be right at the back of the field. This is on board Mole Queen. So there's the contact from Keane and Mazomo. Mazomo very slow on the exit and sort of just not enough room there. Sort of got, there's a very tight one there for Mole Queen and Mazomo. Unfortunately, both of them.
He's the last driver who needs to pit in this race, and he pits in, clears up the lead of the race a little bit. You can see they're getting into their rhythm in this race. Finally, as Yeaman took the fastest lap, then Lachlan Capel took it away. John Merritt moves up those spots, and everyone does as Ricky Satria is in the pit lane. So it's Yeaman from Ridley, from Capel, from John Merritt, from Tom Wilkinson as the top 5 in this race right now. And Capel, he's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's got Kyle Ridley on a string.
10 minutes remaining here in a wild and chaotic race number 2. Dan Yeaman's probably pretty happy at the moment. He's got a little bit of clean air out in front, 1.8 seconds back to this fantastic battle on screen between Ridley and Capel. Is going to go down right to the end of the race. Seeing Capel was a race winner at Alton Park at the last round, so we know he's got a lot of pace. And we see another one of the drop back guys, that Wilkinson, a little bit
Wilkinson's
off pace
out for the top 5. He's down to 8th as he's been passed by Jacques Swanepoel, Matthew Keane, and Tom Yakleyevich just now. So he's 8th right now. Got another slowish car here on the exit of the cutting, forming a little bit of a battle here with Jesse McNamara and Thomas Jones, Clint Collard, Mike Pepper. I'm looking, there's a couple of cars, like McMenamin, only took 6 seconds of fuel. That's why he's slow. He's got to save a lot inside of these final 10 minutes if he's going to make it without another stop. Yakleyevich is another one, only took 7 seconds of fuel. We've seen that the average was 10 or 11, so if you're taking 6, you might be in trouble.
Well, we've seen earlier with Clancy, he only took about 5 seconds, I believe, and he had to pit again to take more fuel because he didn't have enough. We've got another car in the wall trying to pick up who it is. There was It is Michael Lock. It's Michael Lock on the entry of the elbow. Went in massively through the S's on the exit of the dipper. Got into the... Yeah, it was at the dipper. He got the wall pretty hard, and unfortunately he's going to have some pretty major damage.
Round the outside of the chase for second place. A little bit of contact with Kyle Ridley there on the exit. Ridley goes to third. Lachlan Capel moves up into second place. He's only 2.6 seconds behind the race leader with 4 laps of the mountain still to go. Anything's possible. If you're Capel, you only need to claw in 1.7 seconds. You get to that slipstream and you use it down Conrod Straight. Matthew Keane in 6th leads this battle group. Yakovlev, who we think needs to save a little bit of fuel. Wilkinson, who doesn't. And then McMenamin, who absolutely needs to in the number 37 car there. And it's forming this group. Thomas Jones, Clint Collard, Ewan Baker up in a 12th now. And he can see 6th place with 4 laps to go.
It's going to be a pretty impressive recovery drive if he can get anywhere near 6th place by the end of this race. Ewan Baker's got a lot of speed to burn. He's got some really good pace over these guys that he's racing. He was half a second quicker than Clint Collard on the last lap. The car in 11th in front of him. So watch out for Ewan Baker late in this one to try and make some more moves, get in the top 10 and get as many points as he can for this championship fight as we're at the halfway mark of this series, David.
And you smell what the baker is cooking. So tough to pass anywhere here, even if you've got way more speed underneath the tree through Reed, Silman, McPhillamy Park. It's just not a braking zone. You can't safely go side by side. You can't afford to get penalised again, but he's all over the back of Clint Collard, over the top of the mountain. Little crest here on the way into McPhillamy. See, you can understeer so easily, and if you get the wrong side of that curb, you'll be in trouble. And then over Skyline, we know the rear of the car gets light as well through these complexes of corners, so you've got to be so careful, really dancing the car on the edge, up against the concrete walls, all the way down the hill.
It's just a balancing and there's contact.
In front of Wilkinson. Yakovlev has ended up in the wall and he's trying to give it back to him a little bit. It's caused a massive chain reaction here. Massive checkup on the exit of the elbow, heading down Conrod Straight. They're all bottling up behind McMenamin, behind Yakovlev. And here comes Ewan Baker with a massive head of speed as well. He's going to look to the inside. Is he going to look to the grass? Is there 3 Hyundais wide? He's going to try to apply a little bit of a bump. We're 2 wide, 3 rows deep into the braking zone at the chase. Tom Wilkinson in front. Yakovlev has a dive at him. Can't pull off that move. Baker goes around the outside of 2 of them, down the inside of 1 of them. He's going to be up in 8th place.
Fantastic driving from Baker. He's going to try and get another one. At the final corner, big dive down the inside. He's going to get another one. Fantastic driving from Ewan Baker into 8th place. 4 spots in 1 lap, and now he's going to try and chase after Wilkinson for 7th. But unfortunately, some fantastic racing in the mid-pack of this field, David.
It's absolutely mental, and we're going to have a replay bottom screen. What happened to Yakovlev? Again, just the rear of the car stepping out. He's not the first, probably won't be the last to do that. We've got a big one between McMenamin, and he's the only driver who's gone around up Mountain Straight. Once again, 3 wide in these cars. Up Mountain Straight does not seem to work. 3 of them came together, and it's only McMenamin who ended up in the wall, and I think he's gotten going once again. For the race lead, Lachlan Capel's taken a couple of tenths out of Daniel Gaiman, but not enough to put him under pressure with 3 laps to go just yet. Kyle Ridley sitting in 3rd. John Merritt in 4th has the fastest lap of the race. He's just set that. Swanepoel and Matthew Keane, relatively serene in 5th and 6th. And then it's 7th place on back here, where the mayhem is playing out in the final race of the night at Mount Panorama.
I think mayhem's the absolute correct word for this situation and the whole race, David. Just so much going on in this race. A lot of championship contenders, like we touched on, right down the bottom of the field.
This is 3 wide up Mountain Straight. We're on board with Collard. McMenamin, I think, is the car on the right there? On the left. So you can see that's how it happens. Very, very, similar to what we saw, James Foster, Reese Gardner, etc., etc. Here's Baker lining up Tom Wilkinson for checks notes, 7th place.
Ewan Baker lining up Tom Wilkinson down Conrod. This position number 7. He can clear him. He might be able to get to Matthew Keane for P6, which will be a massive recovery drive for Baker. He started 23rd in this race as well. And a drive-through penalty. He's going to go down the inside of the chase. I don't think Wilkinson's going to fight him too hard. That's the P7.
Lifted just
it looks
a
like
little
he
bit.
did. Yeah, it looks like he did.
10-second pit stop for Wilkinson. I don't think it's a safe fuel. This is elsewhere. Yeah, this is what kicked it all off in that other situation, didn't it? And looking at it now.
Just so much going on, David. It's very hard to keep up with what's going on. So much battling throughout this field and in the mid-pack especially. The screen we're watching now is headed up by Mike Pepper's involved. It looks like Craig Davison, Clint Collard, and Shane Clancy as well, who, remember, had to pit twice. The field didn't take enough in the first top. So much going on for the just outer skirts of the top 10. Some fantastic 2 and 3 wide action all throughout.
Lachlan Capel only able to take 1 or 2 tenths of a second at a time out of Daniel Yeaman up front. So it's the battles behind that hold the most intrigue right now, like this, with 9th through to 15th, all in dispute at the moment. Clancy at the tail of this definitely took enough fuel. Yakovlevich is one of those drivers on the bubble, we think, and he sits 11th at the moment, second in that train. They found Matthew Keane, Ewan Baker closing in on 6th place right now, almost disappearing behind the green machine over the top of the mountain. Baker smells another position potentially here in McPhillamy Park, right at the rear bumper. If you can get a good run here, can you get down the inside of Skyline? If you can, do you want to? He thinks about it. He wants to, but you just can't do that. No way, no way. And he's bringing Wilkinson with him as well here for a 3-way fight. You can see Wilkinson all over this here as Baker puts the front bumper imprint on the rear bumper of Matthew Keane. Not able to look down the inside at the elbow, but he's been very successful hunting at the chase.
Yeah, Ewan Baker looks like he got a really good run off Forest Elbow, apologies, and he's going to try and set up Matthew Keane into the exit of the chase this time by for position number 6. We touched on it once again, fantastic recovery drive for Baker. Started 23rd in this race, and he's going to get it done quite easily. Will Keane fighting back? He does down the inside. Does he outbrake himself just a little bit? Baker will try and do the crossover, and now we'll have the inside run to Murray's corner, and looks like he's already got it done before the entry of the corner. Keane's going to try and go back down the inside. Some fantastic scrapping here for pit number 6's contact now.
Genius crossover there from Baker to get to the inside of the final corner. Matthew Keane tried to come back at him, left the racing line open. Wilkinson wanted to put his nose in there, and then Keane came back across it. Now Wilkinson wants down the inside of turn number 1 for the last time of asking. They've started the final lap of the race, and for Matthew Keane, unfortunately, he's just lost 2 stops. Yakovlevich has had to pit. 7 seconds of fuel wasn't enough. That's interesting to know because Lachlan Capel in second has 9 seconds of fuel on board. Yeaman, the race leader, with 10 seconds of fuel on board. Battles everywhere you look, including Mike Pepper, Shane Clancy, Yakovlevich, Clint Collard, others here. Way off the line for Mike Pepper through turn 2 there as well. Means he won't be able to fight that one back. And another driver we thought was running short on fuel, Matthew Keane. How can Keane run out of fuel? I've got 13 seconds as his pit stop time. There must have been dramas or something in that pit stop. Keane on the final lap running out of fuel. What about our race leaders? 1.5 seconds. Lachlan Capel's pulled some time out of Daniel Yeaman so far on this race. There is Daniel Yeaman, bottom right of your screen. Knows there's just 2 braking zones left to see this out, to try to take the race win. Capel not quite close enough unless there's a cough, a splutter from the race leader Daniel Yeaman. Only 1.6 seconds clear of Lachlan Capel, and Kyle Ridley managing to just hold on there as well in 3rd place as well. You can't count him out if some fireworks goes off in the lead of the race here. And Merritt in 4th. Ewan Baker doesn't look like he's going to be able to gain any more positions from 6th there. He's Yeaman out of the chase, just looking to break into the final corner. He looks pretty pleased with himself, and you would be. It's been an upside-down race. So much has happened. Multiple safety cars. Daniel Yeaman rises to the top to take the race win. The Racecraft Elantra Summer Championship from Capel and Ridley on the podium with him.
Yeah, flawless performance there from Daniel Yeaman, getting to the front and pretty comprehensive win there, 1.3 seconds. Still going on in the background, that's Mike Pepper. The number 5 machine, Clint Collard in behind him. This is the battle down just outside of the top 10. And they're still going at it all throughout the field. Davidson having a look down the inside of Punter, who unfortunately is a few laps down. And it's all going on all race long. There was so much to try and keep up with all race long, David. But it was very exciting at the same time. So it looks like Yeaman doesn't probably have much fuel left because he might be getting pushed along here by Lachlan Capel. But
And that'd be super disappointing if you didn't have enough fuel left at the end of this race to try to line up for a Bathurst jump. Now, it's not the jump you and I grew up with. It's changed a little bit. So is the gravel and the grass there. But Lachlan Capel just offering some very warm, heartfelt congratulations bumper to bumper there.
yeah, fantastic race those guys put on. They started 8th and 9th respectively and finished 1-2. So some very good points for those guys in terms of the championship, while some of their competitors such as Mole Queen, Mazomo, Kuznetsov finished right down the order. A lot of them finishing DNFs. Mole Queen, he still hasn't crossed the line, but it looks like he's going to finish 21st in this one after taking that fast repair for very badly damaged cars. So some finishing points there for the 42, but this race has been all about Dan Yeaman. Bit of a struggle in the first race, getting caught up. Didn't really look like he had the pace to keep up with that top 4 in the first race, but he really pulled out the guns and showed him how it's done in race number 2.
Watch it down the hill, boys. Keep those savings so you can go full throttle at the chase, if indeed you can. But yeah, what a topsy-turvy race. 7 positions gained from Yeaman, 7 positions gained from Lachlan Capel. Jacques Swanepoel, 10 positions gained to finish in that 5th place. Ewan Baker, 17 positions gained in the end, and he could have won were it not for that penalty. Of course, when you're trying to cut your way through the field, hot knife through butter in those early going, starting in the 20s of positions on the grid, so easy to misstep with some of those other drivers and do something like that. So can we get any kind of jump going on in these machines? I feel like it's not really a thing anymore, the way the grass works, and they're not trying for it, but they are trying to create a photo finish here, formation on the in-lap for Yeaman and Wilkinson, I think it was, with him there. Let's look at the results. Daniel Yeaman, race winner. Capel took about 1.5 seconds out of him in the last couple of laps, but it was too little and it was too late. And I think Yeaman was measuring it out evenly to the end and toying with him a little bit. In the end, a perfect drive under some pressure. Kyle Ridley there in 3rd. Merritt, fastest lap of the race on the final lap of the race, 2:17.788. He had a lot of speed, but you got to be on the right strategy and in the right place at the right time as well if you're going to take that race win. Swanepoel there with that 10 positions gained to 5th that we talked about. Then Ewan Baker, Tom Wilkinson, Ray Oliver, Matthew Keane, Thomas Jones completing the top 10. In 11th was Shane Clancy, not the only driver to go through pit lane twice for either a penalty or a dash of extra fuel in his case. And then Mike Pepper, Clint Collard, Dale Atkins, Craig Davidson, Peter Pavlovich, Paul Brockbank, Ricky Satria led a couple of laps that I'm sure he's pleased with. And then Tom Yaklievich and Jonathan Akers completing that top 20.
Finishing outside the top 20 was Damon Mulqueen getting that fast repair and finishing 21st. Greg Levine 22nd, and then we see the tale of woe for the rest of the field. John Lee, Jesse McManaman in 24th, Barry Punter, Mazomo, Major, Kuznetsov, Locke and Borg. Unfortunately, multiple laps down, caught up in incidents throughout that 40-minute race. And then behind them was Gardner, Foster, Naval Sechuan, Joe Capone and Cameron Edwards. Safety car unfortunately did more laps than a few of those guys, which is not a stat that you would like, but overall some good racing all throughout the field all night long. And David, I believe you've caught up with race 2 winner Daniel Yeaman.
Yeah, I was getting pretty pleased with that, I'm sure, no doubt. Absolutely crazy 40 minutes. Ewan Baker looked like he could have had it there. Then the penalty came through for he helped someone into the concrete in lap 1.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look back at what happened to Ewan and and what the penalty was for exactly. But I mean, yeah, was thinking it was going to be a real race and a half to have a chance at catching him in that second half of the race. And yeah, kind of ended up getting a bit of the golden hand tonight in race 2. Able to pull the strategy off, get a couple of spots, and then just be aggressive, but able to pick spots well enough, it seems, out there. And really happy to walk away second win, feature race win of the season as well, picking him up on the double points races in particular.
And the safety car simplifies your thought process about when to take that pit stop. If it had gone green all 40 minutes, starting where you were with that reverse top 12, what would you have been aiming for?
Honestly, it's a good question. The draft is reasonably strong up and down Mountain and Conrad Straits, of course, but at the same time, you've got to be mindful of who you're with and how your pace differs across the top of the mountain. So realistically, I think that would have been an ever-evolving thing. I knew our fuel was good for 9. Maybe you make that 10 laps if you just try and manage your pace in the opening stint. So that gives you a rough sort of window to work with, I guess, that you've got no more than, say, I think it's about 22 minutes, therefore it works out to in terms of fuel. So yeah, dynamic strategy it would have been tonight. I didn't do any practice, so I seemed to be on a bit of a roll there with that strategy and just coming in and seeing what I've got at 9 o'clock when the server goes up. And yeah, just the safety cars, yeah, as you said, make it easy. And it ended up working out pretty well for us because it seems to be that the safety cars, they breed not only the safety cars, but just a general bit of chaos and calamity, which we're able to be ahead of and therefore capitalise on.
Lachlan Capel, 0.8 quicker than you on the last lap. Your winning margin, 1.3 seconds. Was it just managing those final couple of laps or just relief when you saw that white flag?
Oh, yeah, I think Lockie and drivers like Damon, Ewan, John, Rick, they had the ultimate pace on me tonight. But yeah, in the last couple of laps, the safety cars meant I was over-fueled, so that wasn't an issue there. And it was just a case of just get home to the finish, don't do anything stupid, staying in communication with my guys in Discord tonight, and just keeping an eye on where their race is at. And so the fact that, yeah, I had a couple of seconds after Lockie got through past Kyle, yeah, able to just mind my pace and just make sure I bring it home in one piece to take the checkered flag first.
5th and 1st, congrats. See you in the new year.
Will do, David. And yeah, fingers crossed we can keep the ball rolling now that we're halfway to go.
There we go. Dan Gaiman, feature race winner. Brady Baldwin, who are you going to go and find?
I think we have caught up with second place finisher, Lachlan Capel. Fantastic driving from him, a P4 and a P2 tonight's races. Lockie, that was pretty wild from our vantage point. How was it from yours aboard the 18 machine?
Oh, it was bloody stressful, mate. You know, after the whole pit thing where there was 15 cars in front of me that were all sort of in the back mark of the field. I knew it was going to be really tough, and then yeah, got into a little bit of an unfortunate incident with a couple of cars, lost a couple of spaces. I've had a look at the replay, and it's all just really hard racing. No, not really anyone's fault at all. And yeah, you just had to. I guess I was just at the right place at the right time at the end to avoid that big crash behind me, and then all I had to do was just catch up to that little group in front where Dan was, and I could just kind of clean sail at home in second. Yeah,
we were talking about it on the broadcast where we did have that safety car, and such a mixed up field was going to create some type of chaos. What was your strategy coming off that restart and trying to manage your way back through the field? Because obviously you had the pace and I 4th and a 2nd, but what was the strategy to try and get through those cars that hadn't pitted yet?
It definitely helped when I eventually did take the stop under safety car to try and underfuel the car a little bit. I just gambled it right and I was able to jump a fair few of them. That helped massively, I think, because I was behind a good 5, 6, 7 cars, and some of them were championship contenders, so that helped. But I think it was just kind of trying to pick them off at the right spot. I mean, it's very hard to pass there, but if you can nail the run out of the elbow, you just go straight by them. So it was more patience. I had a few thinks about cutting bombs, but yeah, it got definitely really messy trying to get past someone. But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of more cautious because I don't ever want to take anyone out. So it just kind of worked in my favor tonight.
Well, after a really strong 2 rounds, obviously picked up a win or 2 at Alton Park in round number 2. A podium here. We head back to the UK to Brands Hatch in the new year. What are your thoughts heading to there? Obviously, we got pretty much a 5-week break until that, so a little bit of time to try and practice. So what are your thoughts heading to Brands Hatch?
I'm not personally. I know a lot of people rate that track highly, but coming from a GT background, it's a bit too small and narrow for me. So I'm not personally a big fan of the track, but I'll do some practice and see if I'm up there. I mean, it's just the whole point of the track is at the back section where there are grass patches and there are fake grass patches where you use for runoffs. So yeah, it'll be a little bit of a learning curve because I don't particularly enjoy that track because it's a bit too blind cresty for me. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm sure I'll find some sort of pace just hanging there. I mean, these cars are always about drafts, so you can always be somewhat around the top pack, then you'll be fine.
Well, before we let you go, Lockie, any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I'll just give a big shout out to Evolution Racing team. Really good team helping me out tonight with some testing from a couple other guys who aren't in the league, just to try and see some other strategies or lines I could take that maybe I wasn't taking. And shout out to Dan and Tom as well of Drop Bear Motorsport, who we're in a call with together, just sort of getting ourselves through the races and trying not to die. So yeah, and a shout out to obviously you guys, everyone on broadcast and comms for broadcasting tonight. I'm sure it would have been a wild one for race 2, so we'll be good to sit and watch back all the carnage.
Certainly was wild, Lockie. Thanks for the chat. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully we talk to you again in the new year.
Yeah, cheers guys, and same to everyone else out there.
That's Lockie Capel, P2, there in the feature race. And David, I believe you've walked down the virtual pit lane and caught up with your 3rd place finisher, Kyle Ridley.
Yep, and he joins us now 7th in that first race. Gives you a halfway decent starting point for race number 2, but I don't think anyone could have quite predicted the carnage that played out.
I didn't see too much of the carnage, luckily, but I know a couple safety cars and a lot of the guys pitting and not pitting certainly made it a very interesting race to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. The safety cars, throwing you a wrench on the strategy and then also giving you a restart or two with some cars in front of you that you maybe felt like you needed to get through but knew you weren't really racing.
Well, I knew I was battling for the effective lead in P11, so it was, yeah, like I said, a very interesting dynamic. I just put my head down and did what I could. But I'm very stoked with P3 tonight.
Now, Okayama, Alton Park, Brands Hatch, great tracks, but they're not Mount Panorama, are they?
No, they're not. I mean, they all have their uniqueness, let's say, but Bathurst is always special for us Aussies.
Couple of corners seeing a lot of drivers maybe struggle with some sort of rear end instability, especially over some of the crests, braking and turning at the same time. You're feeling for driving the Elantra around here. Where were the trouble spots?
I mean, she's a front wheel drive car, so putting the foot down a little too early if you're washing out wide won't help, of course. She was a little sketchy coming into the Forest Elbow, but other than that, it was really nice, stable setup, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, fantastic. And everyone in the same model at TCR makes it, I guess, a little different to a lot of other TCR championships where we like the diversity, but we maybe settle into one dominant car. Here, you're fighting everyone on equal footing.
That's it. I'm normally a Honda driver, so I'm normally used to being great on the brakes, cool in the corners, and slow down the straight. So putting everybody in the same car gives everybody the same opportunity, especially same with fixed setup and everything. It's everyone's got the same car, go out and drive it.
Absolutely fantastic effort on the podium in the feature race. And
sorry, can I cut you off there? Can I give a special thank you to my mum who passed away a couple of weeks ago in between the rounds. We were donning, all my teammates tonight, we were donning a special livery, and to grab a podium, because I know she always watched me race, to grab a podium and to be here talking to you into the comms box is a very special moment for me. So I want to thank you for dragging me in, of course, and I want to say thank you to my mum for helping me secure P3 tonight.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Really heartwarming. Good on your teammates as well, joining you with that. We did get a good look at it throughout the race, so enjoy that P3.
Thank you.
Go, Kyle Ridley, dedicating that third place to his mum there as well. And you've got to wait a little while before we go racing again in Southern Cross Esports Racecraft Elantra Series. It will be in the new year, and it'll be at Brands Hatch Circuit. And you'll see it here on SimSpeed TV, 24th of Jan in the evening. Been David Haynes with Brady Baldwin, Jay Kennedy on the production, and we'll thank the series sponsors as well as we go. Sudspeed, remember they've got a code you can use for 10% off as well. And it's Elantra, so get to sudspeed.com, see if there's anything there that takes your fancy, use the code Elantra for 10% off. And of course, Racecraft Simulations, a supporter here in Southern Cross Esports as well. We'll see you in the new year when Racecraft Summer Elantra Championship returns for more fantastic racing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.